After a while they returned to gather with Wang Ahk, but they could not capture Gang Ryong, but lost track of him. Wang Ahk angrily questioned, "Did you lose sight of him? You two are among the fastest people in the White Skull, right?" One person explained, "Despite that, in this dense forest, he has amazing speed." Wang Ahk frowned. "Why do you call that nonsense?" Huh? The two people felt his anger and their whole bodies trembled. But then Wang Ahk suddenly calmed down. "Wait. This is sometimes acceptable, probably because you are not familiar with the terrain here. Let's forget this for now. What do you think about the rock, paper, scissors just now? Just give me your honest opinion." Two people hesitated. "Well, that's what we think." Wang Ahk continued. "I lost and you all see it." The two people were startled. "It's just bad luck." "That's right, it's just bad luck." Wang Ahk's face darkened, "But in the first round. I plan to play 3 rounds to get some thrills in the game. And the person who wins twice will be the winner, but that fat guy ran away after only playing once." The group of people secretly thought in their hearts that they wanted to play 3 times. "That's a humiliation, but you guys came back without that fat guy. It really makes me very disappointed. So I want to finish this game with you guys." Two people panicked. "Big brother." Wang Ahk explained, "I mean rock paper scissors each of you once. I let that fat guy win the first time, so if I lose both times then I will officially admit it failed." The two people's faces were still filled with fear and hesitation. Wang Ahk squinted at them. "Is there a problem? This game of rock, paper, scissors is just a game of chance, and you all saw me lose in that game, right?" Scene changes to a certain manor on a mountain top. Gang Ryong brought Bon Dao here. A middle-aged man who received the cake was excited. "Look at the shiny layer of oil covering this cake crust. It really looks so delicious. Looking at it from a distance makes me just want to eat it." "Okay, ha. Gang Ryong reminded. "You can eat the top ones first and then the bottom ones later, if you want to keep the heat to eat later." The middle-aged man took it out. A string of money was given to him. Okay, here's the money for the dumplings." Gang Ryong was startled. "It seems like there's too much, sir." The man continued to take out a few more silver bars and gave them to him. "Normally, you just take it all. I want you to bring the dumplings to the Golden Dragon Temple next time around this time." Gang Ryong looked at the pile of money in his hand and exclaimed, "You've really given a lot more since the flood happened." The man waved his hand. "Don't worry, it's just what I want to do." Gang Ryong then reached into his shirt to look for something. "Oh, and this." When he put his hand into his chest, several swords appeared on his neck. A group of people in black appeared from nowhere and surrounded him, threatening to take your hands out immediately if you don't want to lose your head. The man loudly stopped. "Slow down, stop, you all know who he is." Gang Ryong quickly pulled out a cloth bundle from his chest. "This is the natural ginseng that old man Wang told me to bring to you, Lord Nam. He said using this will improve your health." As soon as he saw that what Gang Ryong took out was ginseng, the black-clothed people immediately scattered in all 4 directions and disappeared. Gang Ryong he raised his head and kept looking left and right to see where they were hiding. "Lord Nam explained to me, I'm really sorry, please understand that they were just doing their job. Just to protect me." Gang Ryong went over and gave him the ginseng. "I understand, this is your ginseng." The landlord reached out his hand to take the ginseng to try. "Thank you. But who is this old man Wang that sent me so many precious things? I really don't remember who he is." "Chief." Gang Ryong was surprised. "You really don't remember? He said you were his benefactor." After hearing that, the landlord was even more surprised. "Benefactor?" Gang Ryong explained, "He told me that when his wife died, he didn't have any money to pay for the funeral. At that time, luckily, he helped me, so he was very grateful. This ginseng tree was dug by himself." Lord Nam Ho Khan. "Is it true that he calls me a benefactor? For a little bit of money for charity?" Gang Ryong smiled. "For me it's normal, but for him it's a great favor. Besides old man Wang, there are many people who want to repay your kindness. Even though they didn't directly receive his kindness, they still asked about his health. After I returned from delivering the cake to you. Anyway, there were many people who wanted to meet you to say thank you. So when you feel better, please go down to the village to visit." Lord Nam nodded. "Okay, I will consider when I feel better." Gang Ryong. Then he quickly went back down the mountain. Lord Nam looked thoughtfully at the ginseng root in his hand. People say ginseng can improve aging and sociability. I'll eat it as soon as I have it. He then picked up the ginseng and started chewing it raw. Don't they say ginseng is something that no one wants to share with others? Ha ha, stupid ginseng. Poor and tattered but made up for it. They're all a bunch of senseless idiots, throw them a few alms. And so they will kneel on the ground and thank me. They never ask where the money came from. Or why do they give so much to charity? All they want is to get money without having to do anything. Humiliating coins. This nonsense thing is also called ginseng? No different from sugar beets. Wait, I can take advantage of this. I'm Lord Nam. I can legally molest girls in the village. Oh, this is too reasonable. Anyway, staying here forever is boring. Staying here forever will sooner or later become impotent. Thinking of this, he stood up with his cane. And the ginseng in his hand was thrown away by him. Damn, I should have hidden more, gone to a place with less people. Somewhere deep in the mountains might be better. I'll pack what I need and leave. Right at dawn. Scene changes to the restaurant. The owner sitting in the yard saw Gang Ryong running back and immediately asked, "Why were you gone so long? There's another line waiting for you to deliver. They ordered it when you delivered the goods to that old guy. I have also packed dumplings for the poor children near the bridge of the Moon Canal here. So let's stop by there for a bit," Gang Ryong explained. "You got into a bit of trouble on the way to the Golden Dragon Temple. Mom has left a portion for Dad, so come here and eat." The landlady explained. A band of robbers came to Lord Nam's house. They killed him. And even his bodyguards, to the manner that they even burned before fleeing. After reading the list, he once again picked up the goods and ran away. "I'm going." The scene changed to another side. Wang Ahk was now sitting in one place absent-mindedly. He was thinking about how to rock, paper, scissors, of Gang Ryong. His index and middle fingers opened while his thumb and ring finger curled up. There's no question about this. He'll definitely come out pole, but why is it a bag? This is really absurd, is he? Damn, what the hell am I thinking? That plump body couldn't possibly belong to a martial arts expert. At that moment a voice called out from behind, "Big brother. We've finished searching the house." They are now in Lord Nam's house, all of his black-clad guards. Were all killed by Wang Ahk's men. Bodies and blood were piled on the ground. Only Lord Nam was still alive. Wang Ahk slowly approached him. At this time, his clothes were torn, blood was constantly flowing out, and with great difficulty. A few disciples walked up behind Wang Ahk, reporting that we have found a box of gold. But it's only half left. Maybe he used that gold to buy this mansion. And hired a bunch of useless bodyguards to protect them. Wang Ahk turned to Lord Nam and sneered, "You spent a lot of money on these puppets, right? If you want to hire someone, you should find someone at least half as good as me." "Hey Hyol Pyo, do you practice at all? I'm talking about the rock-paper-scissors game." Hyol Pyo raised his head and glanced at him with extremely sharp eyes. Wang Ahk sat down in front of him and smiled. "I think you're the best at playing this game. Among the people I've fought against, to be honest, I've almost lost to you many times. You don't know how heart-pounding that moment was. If you defeat me, I will still kill you, but I will grant you one wish. Whatever you ask I will do." Hyol Pyo couldn't help but laugh. "It's time to grow up, big brother." When Wang Ahk heard that, his eyes narrowed. Then he laughed loudly. "Forget it, there's no problem. Okay, rock, paper, scissors." Hyol Pyo shook his head. "So this way will better. I'm wearing an outfit that doesn't suit me at all, it's somehow uncomfortable. When I think about it, I've spent almost all my life to try to survive, to kill to survive. Loot to survive, flee to survive, survive and survive. I left the group because I couldn't stand this life anymore. I thought so. I will have a better life, but life is not like a dream. I am too scared of my old brothers. There will come a day when I set foot on my doorstep like now. I've never had a good night's sleep. And then I found them. The villagers are kind and honest, that's good. This is a fitting ending for someone like me. I have nothing more to say, kill me or torture me if you want." Wang Ahk held his head tightly. "Hyol Pyo. What the hell happened to you? I just asked if you wanted to play rock, paper, scissors with me, okay? So why are you barking so loudly that no one understands? Come on, raise your arm and make a fist. Hyo Pyo glanced at him, annoying. This was the first time in my life feels so free and despises you so much. I don't want this feeling to be tainted by a stupid game of a crazy, childish person like you. Wang Ahk was angry. He gritted his teeth and shouted, shut your fucking mouth and raise your arms for me, you bastard. Now, do it, you bastard. Scene changed to the other side. Gang Ryong was currently peeling walnuts for the beggar children. When they saw him crushing the walnuts with his hands and were extremely surprised. Bro Porky is so good, they won't break until Bro Porky shows his move. Give me, give me. Gang Ryong didn't give it to them but clenched his fists. He asked, what did you guys call me just now? The kids were scared and sweating, Bro Porky. Gang Ryong, his face darkened and he spoke harshly, let me say that again. One of them shyly replied, handsome boy. Gang Ryong excitedly gave him the walnuts. Seeing that, the two children immediately turned to the other kid and questioned, you've gone too far, kid. You're sacrificing your honor just for a few walnuts, but I want to eat it. They argued for a while, then one of them turned back to Gang Ryong and asked, Big brother, are you satisfied? Gang Ryong angrily clenched his fists and breathed. Lower your voice a little more. The boy looked at the two beggars behind him. The other two at this guy was also looking at him with wide eyes. The kid finally couldn't resist the urge to scream, damn it, Big brother is plump and cute, isn't he? If even that doesn't work, I won't want to eat anymore. Gang Ryong raised his hand and nodded, even though I'm not very satisfied, it's okay. The three children quickly jumped excitedly, haha, walnut walnut, here comes the dog. Gang Ryong exclaimed, if you guys become businessmen in the future, there's nothing better suited than that. At this moment, in the small house next to the rock, a woman came out. Mom has left a portion for Dad, so come here and eat. The kids excitedly ran over. Sharing the dumplings to eat, the woman reminded, eat slowly. If I don't, I'll choke again. She walked in front of Gang Ryong and bowed her head in thanks, it's so embarrassing. You have given dumplings to our family many times. Gang Ryong smiled. It's just some leftover food that won't sell out, so don't pay attention. The woman nodded. If the restaurant is crowded, let me know, I can help. Wash dishes. Gang Ryong turned around to say goodbye to the children and returned. Goodbye chubby, cute big brother. Okay, I'll be back soon. Gang Ryong quickly returned to the tavern. As soon as he returned, he saw a group of soldiers inside the tavern. He was extremely suspicious in his heart. Why are the royal soldiers here? Is something wrong? He quickly entered the shop. The owner asked, are you home? It seems like you don't know anything, right? Gang Ryong wondered, what's going on, ma'am? The landlady explained, a band of robbers came to Lord Nam's house, they killed him. And even his bodyguards, to the manner that they even burned before fleeing. Gang Ryong was startled and turned his head to look at, what? The landlady took out a painting and held it up. He continued to say, that's what those officers and soldiers said. They said the culprit was a gang of robbers called the White Skulls, of all gangs. The last boss of this clan is especially famous for being like a madman. Insane, always playing a game where the stakes are other people's lives. Wang Ahk Yama's arm. He has a very confusing way of killing people. First, he always plays rock, paper, scissors with his victims. He promised to spare them if they defeated him. If you lose, you will be slaughtered. I don't know how the hell he managed to win all those rock, paper, scissors. Or he never keeps his promises. Until now, no one has been able to survive his game. Those psychotic bastards, I know for sure that they will never look for victims. In an open-mouthed manner, waiting for a man to explode. But why is it Lord Nam among so many people? I hope God will punish them. The sky turned dark. Not seeing Gang Ryong anywhere, Yaren immediately asked the landlady, where did Gang Ryong go, Mom? He said he forgot something at the Golden Dragon Temple, so he went to look for it. Gang Ryong was now standing on a tree trunk observing Hyo Pyo's house. Right now there is only a pile of ruins left. Although it is already dark, but the imperial soldiers are still actively searching and investigating traces of continuously charred and disfigured bodies. They carried out from the rubble. One of them had one leg amputated. It was landlord Hyo Pyo. Gang Ryong saw this body and recognized it as him. He stood on a tree branch and observed for a moment. Then his figure disappeared into the gloomy night. He used extremely fast speed to use his body technique towards the highest mountain peak. He quickly jumped up extremely high. He stood there looking around below looking for something. He continuously glanced everywhere. After a long search, he finally found the hiding place of Won Ok's group. After finishing dealing with Hyol Pyo, they did not leave but still returned to their hiding place in the forest. When Gang Ryong found them, his face immediately darkened. He then quickly landed on another mountain top. Then used extremely fast speed to shoot towards Won Ok's group. Speed his is extremely fast, in just a blink of an eye at such a far distance he can reach his destination. The people watching outside still didn't notice that someone was approaching. Gang Ryong quickly appeared on the roof. He didn't intend to sneak attack but landed behind the two men. The guard asked, "You guys are the White Skulls, right?" Two young men suddenly heard a sound in their ears and were frightened. They immediately turned their heads in unison. "Who are you?" Gang Ryong smiled friendly. "It's you guys. I remember it was these faces that I saw this morning. Is your big brother inside?" Inside the house, Wang Ahk and other brothers were building a campfire and drinking alcohol. Suddenly he was startled and raised his head to look outside. There's something new. As soon as he raised his head, Gang Ryong had come in from outside. The rest of the group also turned their heads to look in bewilderment. Saw Gang Ryong entering, they immediately panicked. "What is this? Who is that guy? I thought there were guards outside, right? What did those gossips out there do to let this guy come in here?" Wang Ahk was still extremely calm as he brought the wine to drink. "Why are you all so panicked, you idiots? He's a human being. The brave baker we met this morning. Stop screaming like women, you're tainting the reputation of White Skulls. Go back." Gang Ryong scratched his head. "So you guys still remember me?" "Ha ha." The crowd angrily shouted, "So it's you kid, you surprised us fat guy." The surprising thing was that Wang Ahk shouted harshly, "I said back off." The crowd, even though he didn't understand anything, he didn't dare to protest and quickly backed away. Wang Ahk then laughed loudly. "Hey young man, what wind brought you to this wretched place? Did you get lost while delivering dumplings or something? But who cares about the reason? You know we already intend to search for you." Gang Ryong said indifferently, "Rock, paper, scissors." Wang Ahk was startled. "What did you say?" Gang Ryong smiled gently at him. "I came here because I heard that you really like this game. Coincidentally, I also really like playing this game. I've never lost to anyone." The people in the house were all scared after hearing this. "What? Rock, paper, scissors? This pig is crazy. Fat guy, do you know who you're challenging?" Wang Ahk was not as excited as them, but raised his voice with a serious face. "You all shut your mouths for me. If anyone opens their mouth, please forgive me. I will pull this pig's tongue out." The group of people heard him say and all closed their mouths nervously, sweating profusely. Wang Ahk then slowly stood up. "Okay, let's fight, so losing was within your expectations." "Oh my god, I really don't know how that feels." Gang Ryong exclaimed, "I almost lost a few times about that. But only occasionally." Wang Ahk replied while warming up, "That's right, this game is really interesting. So you came a long way looking for me just to feel satisfied when you beat me." "That's right, the feeling when someone challenges you is really interesting." "Okay, let's prepare for battle my little friend. Let's do 3 rounds including the battle in the morning, okay? Which means we'll have to win 2 matches. While you only need 1 match to win and the game is over." Gang Ryong smiled and nodded. "Okay, I understand. But if I win then you will have to go to the park and lock yourself in prison. It means going first. And if I lose then I'll let you make me do whatever you like. Is this a good condition? It means we will lose everything if we lose. But in return, if you win, you will have a new disciple. I'm not praising myself, but I know some martial arts, more or less. And all I have if I win is just a little bit of martial arts experience. Also, I'll give you a turn to make the game more dramatic." The bandits behind Wang Ahk couldn't help but scream again. "What the fuck, is this guy crazy?" As soon as they spoke, they suddenly turned pale and covered their mouths. Wang Ahk didn't have time to pay attention to them. At this moment, all his attention was focused on Gang Ryong. Why couldn't I recognize him sooner? This bastard, he didn't make any sound. Even the smallest thing while walking on this old wooden floor. Even with that chubby body, it doesn't affect him at all. And this morning he was able to cut off 2 of his subordinates. So you want to learn a little bit of magic? Experience martial arts? Not like other idiots. Thinking of this, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but smile again. Okay, I accept your conditions. The more dangerous, the more attractive, so this will be a zero-sum game, right? Are you ready, young man? Gang Ryong raised his hand. Let's fight. Wang Ahk in his heart. I thought to myself, fat meat, I don't know what trick you played this morning, but surely this time I won't lose again. Let's fight then. But what surprised him was that Gang Ryong didn't wait for him to make a move before he took the initiative to pull. This made Wang Ahk directly stunned on the spot. And the bandits behind him were also stunned. Eyes widened in surprise. There was no way to believe that Wang Ahk just stood there blankly staring at Gang Ryong. After a while he lowered his head to look at his hand. Hey, that fat guy. What kind of big idea is this? Gang Ryong did not respond but remained standing there looking at him. The 2 of them just stood there looking at each other. The confused eyes of the people in the house faced the cold, chubby face of Gang Ryong. Wang Ahk suddenly felt a sense of fear in his heart. The image of Gang Ryong in his eyes quickly transformed into a monster. A monster that made him fear deeply in his heart. The more he faced Gang Ryong, the more unsightly his face became. Cold sweat continued to fall from his forehead. Unconsciously, his arms slowly lowered. And then, for some reason, he took the initiative to pull out. Even though Gang Ryong had taken the initiative to pull out before, he still took the initiative. Many of the robbers behind saw this and their mouths were wide open. There was no way to believe it. Gang Ryong himself was also startled. He raised his hand in disbelief. I won? Ha? Oh my god. It's dead, so I'm coming back. Remember to keep your promise. The subordinates behind Wang Ahk saw Gang Ryong just like that. When they wanted to leave, they immediately started talking. Hey, that fat guy wants to leave. Should we arrest him? Are you planning on letting that bastard go like that? They discussed for a moment then quickly rushed forward to capture Gang Ryong. Wang Ahk still stood there dumbfounded, silently cursing in his heart. No, you idiot, stop. He tried to reach out his hand to stop the subordinates in front. But he had no way to say it out loud. Damn, am I so scared that I can't speak? Suddenly, a terrifying light erupted outside. Wang Ahk just stood there blankly looking out. And then there were countless screams and screams rang out. He became more and more frightened. Cold sweat poured out like rain on his face again. A moment later the sound disappeared. He regained his composure and slowly walked out. As soon as he walked out the door, what he saw was a ferocious tiger. Looking at the tiger's sharp eyes, he was once again frightened. The image of Wang Ahk as small as a fly in front of the tiger. The tiger looked at him and asked, Wang Ahk, Yama's arm, is that you, right? The tiger illusion then slowly disappeared. In front of Wang Ahk there was only the cold image of Gang Ryong along with the bodies of his subordinates. Gang Ryong coldly glanced at him. A gentleman, remember? Wang Ahk was scared to death. Fly away. The black hair on his head turned white in just a blink of an eye. He was dying, breathless, and slowly fell down. The White Skull's gang just like that was wiped out in the gloom of night, without a trace. Who escaped? The next morning the news spread quickly. At Gang Ryong's tea shop, a group of customers were drinking iced tea and gossiping. Have you heard the news? The entire White Skull's gang has been defeated? Huh? Who is spreading this rumor? Don't you believe? This morning, I was just going to work on the road to do something and saw a whole gang of them there. We saw it with our own eyes. Oh, really? So the army must be very elite. Just captured a dangerous gang, right? You are wrong, the soldiers have no business in this case. They received a letter and when they arrived at the address, the White Skulls were already lying on the ground. I don't know who did it, but no one in the White Skulls can stand up on 2 legs. Damned, are you kidding? Are you serious? Why would I lie to you guys, especially the boss Wang Ahk? He was so ruined that he was unrecognizable. If it wasn't for that huge mole on his forehead, no one would have recognized him. He looked like he had lost all reason, because when the soldiers ran to arrest and tie him up, then he had absolutely no resistance at all, but only muttered things like, "Lock me up, please lock me up." The boss isn't the only one who's crazy. His minions also kept spouting nonsense things like that. The boss is like this because he lost a match of rock, paper, scissors. Damn it. What else? Is there really someone who can make Wang Ahk lose that game of rock, paper, scissors? How could such a powerful gang go crazy over one person? Is it possible that the gods have an epiphany to punish them for the crime of killing the male lord? If it's a divine punishment, then it's well deserved for them, right? The owner and her mother sat and listened to the crowd talking for a while, then sighed. Rock, paper, scissors? So it's probably not it then. Yaren smiled. I told Mom it wasn't him. The landlady still couldn't understand. It's so absurd. How could it not be him? There's no one else here. Yaren replied, because Gang Ryong is very obedient to me. As soon as the two mentioned Gang Ryong, he immediately appeared. Huh, what about me? Yaren laughed. Ha ha, it's nothing. Have you got enough ingredients yet? Gang Ryong gave the basket of vegetables in his hand to her. Okay, they're all here. The hostess looked at Gang Ryong and asked, Chef Gang? Gang Ryong bewilderedly replied, what's wrong? The hostess asked, I've never seen anyone play rock, paper, scissors as bad as you. Whoever plays worse will put his head on the ground. Have you ever won? Gang Ryong smiled and nodded. Rock, paper, scissors, of course. The landlady explained, no, I don't mean winning against hippos, dogs, or pigs. I mean people move with 2 legs, tell me the truth. Gang Ryong looked serious. Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm just a gang shipper, but I won and it wasn't just once, okay? Just recently you won again. There was once a female prophet called the Saintess Tian Thien. That girl was famous for her supernatural psychic powers. The prophetess's power was known not only to people in the surrounding area, but even distant castles came too. Faced with an unexpected death, she summoned her close servants and gave instructions. Please help me give her a normal life as a girl. Not a bondage like me. However, due to the obsession of the prophetic dream, they did not do what she asked. The daughter of the gods inherited all the magical divine powers. Rumors about the god's daughter were exaggerated and embellished by her servants. The number of pious sheep is greater than when the saint was originally alive. They were all led to become fanatics. Until things almost got out of control. The king was forced to reduce all activities of this church to a minimum, and ordered the people to return to normal life. The servants had protested. That made the king furious and he deployed forces to carry out a crackdown. The fierce battle lasted for 8 days. The rebellion was eventually crushed. But a few fanatics refused to surrender even after the war was over. Instead, they decided their own fate by burning down the temple. And with them went the daughter of the gods who had just learned how to walk. Inside the restaurant, Yaren was currently bringing out dumplings to the guests. As soon as she put the plate of dumplings on the table, she suddenly turned her head to look outside. A baby? Then she returned to the kitchen. When the other people at the table saw this, they also curiously turned their heads to look outside. The 2 people looked for a long time but didn't see anything. In the restaurant then suddenly a loud voice rang out. What the hell is that baby? Which baby? There are no children here. The 2 guests then picked up their luggage and left. I don't know why you're making so much noise. Wakes me up, we have a long way to go today. But now I have a bad feeling. Gang Ryong, sitting outside, saw them leaving, so he stood up to see the guest off. And then walked out from inside the toilet. This guy will definitely hug the toilet too. No matter how many times I've been there, I still don't feel any better. As soon as she left, her eyes immediately fell on the plate of dumplings on the table. It seems like these guests are in a hurry. They hardly touched any dumplings. Hearing that, Gang Ryong immediately poked his head in from outside to take a look. The owner just stood there staring at the dumplings, not knowing what she was thinking. After a while she looked into the kitchen and asked, Hey Yaren, are you serving them dumplings? Yaren in the kitchen immediately responded, Yes. And the hostess asked, So did you see anything unusual about these guests when you brought the dumplings? Yaren scratched her head. Yes, I saw a baby. When the landlady heard that, she was startled and leaned against the wall. "A baby," Yaren reassured. "It's nothing," she left with those other guests. The owner angrily glared at her and scolded her. "I told you to just stay inside just the kitchen. Don't go out to the pub to wait tables, have you forgotten?" Yaren glanced at her and sighed. "The dumplings have already been made but mom is nowhere to be found. Gang Ryong is outside. If you don't come out and serve, who will?" The old woman suddenly hugged her stomach again in extreme pain. Gang Ryong outside also took advantage of this moment to run in to clear the table and conveniently ate all the dumplings on the table. The landlady didn't pay attention to him and quickly ran away, holding her stomach, like every time she's worried. "My stomach hurts unbearably." Yaren took the dishes from Gang Ryong. She exclaimed, "Oh, at least they cleaned up the dumplings before leaving Gang Ryong." At this moment, a few more customers came in outside. "Ah, I'm really tired. Come here, let's have a cup of iced tea." Gang Ryong quickly went out to invite guests. One of them said, "Bring us some wine and something to eat that can be done quickly." The food was brought out very quickly. The crowd also ate their food extremely quickly. They ate and chatted. "Hey, have you ever heard of the Hong family manor?" "You mean that haunted mansion?" "Yes, that's right." Another guy looked at Gang Ryong and asked, "Is there any bottle here?" Gang Ryong continued, "Yes sir. I heard that the ghost haunting that manor is the spirit of Lord Hong Dan, one of the people with the most tragic death of that family." "That's right, I also heard that. He lived his whole life like a sage. But after he died, he became a terrifying ghost. And his manor became a haunted place. Apparently he had a heart attack and died very soon afterwards. When he passed away, he didn't even have time to leave a will. Maybe there was something in the manor that he didn't want anyone to find, so he stayed to haunt that place. Something that Lord Hong Dan doesn't want to share with anyone. I also heard that it could be a huge treasure or some powerful martial arts secret. That could be the reason that place is haunted. If that's true, then it won't be worth anything when too few people are brave enough to carry the body to look for it. Even if it's just to be seen once, huh? What is brave? Obviously you haven't heard about a famous magician traveling across the country to exorcise evil spirits. Just by running around the house and screaming, I learned about the Hong family mansion. That an old man who was actually the reincarnation of a god turned into a ghost after his death. Can you imagine how strong it is? You can simply assume that it is an evil spirit, which is what we are talking about here. Is something on the level of a demon lord with incredible power. It's just a thought, but has Lord Nam's soul found an heir yet? He was just a bit heavy-handed in choosing a potential successor to pass on martial arts. And inherit his estate, yes, if he were a little more heavy-handed. That he already has enough strength to overthrow an entire citadel. I also heard that everyone who enters that area will end up having to wear diapers for the rest of their lives. Because I'm always in a state of fear of peeing my pants. Damn it, please let me go, you guys are going too far. Yaren and Gang Ryong sat on one side listening to them gossip and were both bored and yawning. Even if the crowd didn't believe it, the young man continued. Whether this is a story that the heirs tell or a self-made play, I also hope it will be in place as soon as possible. My feet hurt when I talk about it, every time I have to go past the Hong family mansion. I have to go around a hill to avoid that area. Okay, let's finish this drink and then we'll be on our way. When Gang Ryong saw them standing up, he also stood up and bowed his head. Please come by next time. The sky quickly turned dark. The boss looked at the two people assigned by Gang Ryong. I'm going to bed first, you two remember to clean up, I really don't know what you'll eat. I don't know if my stomach hurts like this all day. Yaren stuck her head out from the kitchen and said, Good night mom. Waiting for her to enter the room, she turned to Gang Ryong and asked. Gang Ryong, do you know where the Hong family manor is? Gang Ryong turned his head to look at her suspiciously. Huh, why are you asking this? Do you want to go there? That place is very far from here. Moreover, the road is not easy, even for someone with quick steps. It's also impossible to get there in one day or one night. Yaren didn't care and calmly exclaimed, A basket of dumplings. Gang Ryong then carried her away in the night. Enjoy your trip, ladies. I've never been inside that mansion. But I have passed by there many times, there is thick fog even during the day. That makes the people around there rarely come close for fear of being taken away by ghosts. Yeren said harshly, if you keep talking like that, stop dreaming about dumplings. What's with the dumplings? I can't concentrate if you keep making noise like that. As soon as Gang Ryong heard about the dumplings, he was startled. He immediately accelerated the speed to the fullest. I'll be there soon, ladies. After a while, the two of them stopped on a mountain top. Gang Ryong pointed ahead and said, it's over there, hidden in that foggy forest. Is the manor area of the Hong family? Ering was surprised. Oh, except for that place where there is thick fog, all the other places are clear. At this moment, from far away, an arrow came flying. Even though the arrow was flying at a very fast speed, it was still easily caught by Gang Ryong. The young man who shot the arrow was startled when he saw that. Can't believe it. Gang Ryong looked at him and said, this game is dangerous, sir, you should have checked the target. Was it a man or a beast before shooting? He stood still in place, tense and sweating. After a moment, he forced a smile and nodded, you're right, I thought it was a deer. Gang Ryong walked over and returned the arrow to him, here, don't take it away. The young man took the arrow and nodded, oh thank you. The two people didn't pay much attention to him, continuing to walk forward. The young man saw them going towards the fog and panicked. Afraid of reminders. Wait, that way is the way to the scary haunted house. Gang Ryong calmly replied, I know, sir. When the young man heard this answer, he was even more surprised. You know, but you still dare to come in? The two people walked and talked. Ghosts are the souls of the dead that linger on earth. They cannot escape because they are haunted by something, and sometimes we can help them. By listening to them. Gang Ryong listened to Yeren speak for a while then exclaimed, sometimes I really envy them. I wish I could see ghosts. Then I can find my bad master to confide in. Yeren was startled and turned her head to look at him. If you can. Before she could finish her sentence, Gang Ryong remembered something and clapped his hands and exclaimed. But wait, he has no reason to stay in this world anymore. All his enemies are dead. I haven't thought about that yet. Yeren Go next to him could only smile. The scene changes to another side. At a dilapidated old house deep in the forest, outside this place is covered with extremely creepy white towels. Inside the house, the sound of conversation is constantly ringing. He caught an arrow flying in midair with just his bare hands. The young man who had just shot an arrow attacked two Gang Ryong people who were kneeling here. Hearing the person sitting above ask, he nodded. Yes, I see they might be aiming for our loot at the Hong Manor. And I aimed very carefully before shooting, but he was still easily caught. The rest of the family were discussing. For such an expert to visit that temple in the middle of the night like this, it's probably at this hour. The scar-faced leader shouted loudly, that's a bold thief. Our plan to raid the Hong Manor again is almost done. So I'm not going to sit here and let that bastard get in our way. We'll go to the manor right now, get your weapons, guys. At that moment, something extremely creepy sounded out, making everyone's skin crawl with fear. The whole group was about to stand up and heard this sound, so they sat still and didn't dare to move. After a while, someone exclaimed, that was the sound of a wild bird, right? But why do they sound like that at this hour? Let's ignore this issue, no matter how powerful that bastard's martial arts skills are. It doesn't matter, he basically has no chance of defeating the ghosts of the Hong family. It was very difficult for us to learn from that experience. Why do we have to work so hard late at night to stop him when he will have to wear diapers soon? The others nodded in agreement, I think so too, I think so too. The boss in front frowned and asked, is that true? The group continued, that's right, let's continue to carefully prepare our plan. Just take your time, big brother. Boss said with a thoughtful face, okay. Then let me change the diaper first. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd immediately screamed. Oh yes, I'm also planning to go instead. We'd better all change our diapers at once. Hey, whoever went out there and got those diapers in here, they're probably dry already. The scene changes to the Hong family's manor. After a long search, the two of Gang Ryong finally arrived here. Yeren looked at the architecture in front of her and exclaimed, finally, we've arrived. The Hong family's manor. Without fear she quickly entered inside. Seeing Gang Ryong just standing there dumbfounded, then Yeren immediately spoke up. If there's a devil or whatever, we'll be fine, as long as he doesn't harm any of us. Is to be. But if he intends to kill people, then we are in real danger. Hearing what she said, Gang Ryong became even more confused, standing there dumbfounded. At that moment the sign above suddenly fell down on him. Luckily he reacted quickly to avoid it, otherwise he would have been hit. It hit his head. And after a while the dust gradually dissipated. He pointed at himself and asked, "Didn't you want to kill me?" Yeren in front replied, "Over time the hatred inside that soul will become deeper." Gang Ryong quickly chased after Yeren. "Wait for me with Yeren." He just entered the next wall, the top immediately collapsed. Followed by the gate also collapsing, Gang Ryong as usual flew to avoid. He had just landed on the ground. And was standing there dumbfounded when Yeren's sound came again. "So if I see him?" Gang Ryong heard her voice and immediately turned around and loudly called, "Yeren." But as soon as he spoke, Yeren's voice disappeared. His response was just a thick, cold fog. Gang Ryong didn't give up, but shouted even louder. "Yeren! Where are you, Yeren?" His voice quickly echoed throughout the yard, but even so, Yeren still didn't respond. At that moment, there was a straight wooden pillar in the distance. Rushing towards him. Gang Ryong didn't pay attention to the wooden tree and jumped up and continued calling, "Where are you, Song Yeren? What the hell is this place?" He had just walked a few more steps when the stone pillar next to him collapsed. He jumped up again to avoid sighing, "Where did you go?" He then went into the building behind to check. As soon as he entered, the building immediately collapsed. But there was nothing he could do. Gang Ryong. The dust dispersed, he was still safely sitting on a pillar. He pulled out a handkerchief to wipe away the sweat on his face. This is not a joke. Suddenly he felt something and turned his head to look to the side. There was a tornado forming there right now. Very quickly the dust and smoke turned into a shape like a human face. Gang Ryong angrily said, "I'm very upset." The scene changes to somewhere inside the manor. Under the floor a brick is removed to reveal an underground tunnel. Very quickly below there is a person carrying a chest coming up. This person is none other than Yeren. Putting the wooden chest on the floor, she quickly climbed out of the cellar and brushed off the dust on her body. Then she picked up the wooden chest again. "So I just need to protect this thing well, that's all. Right? Okay, I will definitely do it, I promise." She was just about to go out when the ground suddenly shook. The roof also followed with wood dust falling. The roof shook even more. Violent movement. Yeren turned around and walked into the kitchen. "I actually don't care about this. You're all sick perverts, life and death are all the same, you all go die." "Finally found it's you." Yeren turned her head to look at him and smiled, "There you are." Gang Ryong was slightly surprised. Gang Ryong at this moment not only saw Yeren but he also saw the soul standing next to her. That soul then slowly disappeared. Gang Ryong's eyes widened and he couldn't believe, "What is that?" He couldn't believe his eyes, so he raised his hand to rub his eyes again. "When I opened my eyes, my soul was completely gone." He pointed towards Yeren and asked, "Hey, was there someone standing there just now?" Yeren without a hint of concealment nodded, "Yes. That is Lord Hong's soul, but he is gone. He will never appear again." Gang Ryong was surprised. "A ghost? Whoa, so I can really see ghosts?" Yeren explained, "Well, everyone can see it. You can see him because he's actually a very powerful ghost. Moreover, the atmosphere here is very thick tonight. And he also said that you are very scary." Gang Ryong was startled. "Huh, why am I scary?" Yeren just went out and added, "Yes, he told me that." Gang Ryong followed behind. He was still a bit skeptical, "Really?" As soon as she went outside, Yeren looked up at the sky. The fog has cleared. After seeing the ruins outside, she immediately said, "Oh, so this is the reason he said you're very scary." Gang Ryong explained, "Because the houses here are all rotten. I just touched them lightly, I'm serious." Gang Ryong then carried Yeren back to the bar again. "Did you know? I heard that resentful souls often harming people, are they all like that?" Yeren explained, "Not all of them are dangerous. People create a lot of rumors about them. After a while some of their mischievous tricks have accidentally caused people to fear and misunderstanding. A short time later, everything was blown up and spread everywhere, like this case." Gang Ryong's face was filled with confusion. Some outrageous jokes that scare people? Are you telling the truth? Yerin sighed. Moreover, my mother is always by my side, so no matter how strong the evil spirit is, I don't need to be afraid. Gang Ryong was startled. Old lady? Seeing him panicking and constantly looking left and right like that, Yerin immediately explained. No, she's just one of the people who raised me. I'm talking about my biological mother. Gang Ryong heard that and once again looked at her in surprise. Yerin continued to explain, to tell you, she used to be an extremely famous prophet. She's been with me since I was very young. In fact, she's more like a guardian angel than a mother. By the way, didn't you mention that she's not my mother is my biological mother but is my adoptive mother? Gang Ryong reluctantly nodded. Yes, that's what she said, but... Before he could finish his sentence, Yerin interrupted him, unless you're stupid. Otherwise you should have guessed it. Changes the scene back to before, when Gang Ryong and the landlady were drinking. Before bringing this up, the landlady was also very hesitant about this. Yerin is not my biological daughter. Gang Ryong replied while eating, yeah, obviously she is a great niece yours. Looking at her face, I knew that you two were not mother and daughter. The landlady angrily clenched her fists, causing the wine cup in her hand to be crushed. Gang Ryong was then beaten by her until he was barely alive and collapsed on the table. After beating him, she vented her anger. Then continued, the truth is that even though our ages are a bit different, but we are each other's sisters. We are beautiful women who are afraid of being talked about behind our backs in this harsh society. So we decided to make up a story and disguise ourselves as real mother and daughter. And Yerin chose the role of a girl. You are also a part of this story. Remembering all of this, Gang Ryong couldn't help but gasp. Digesting all that scary story wasn't easy. It was truly a relief to know that the two of them were not sisters at all, after hearing that story. I couldn't eat or sleep for half a day. Yerin smiled on his back. Hey, how long are you going to stand here? If you come home early, I can do it for you. A few dumplings before mom wakes up. When Gang Ryong heard about dumplings, he immediately changed his speed and rushed like an arrow. Come home, go home. The two of them quickly returned to the pub. Without any hindrance, Yerin looked at the wooden chest and asked, what's in there? Do you think there's really treasure inside? You know, it was handmade by a craftsman who died and the key was lost. So this box will never be opened again. Or something like that, according to what he said. Gang Ryong, who was enthusiastically eating dumplings, suddenly stopped and asked, so is it okay to open the box if you have the key? Yerin turned around and walked into the kitchen. I actually don't care about this. He just told me to take it far away from the Hong Manor and not let anyone know about it. Its existence. It's best if I seal it somewhere where no one can touch it. But if I fail and lose it or let it fall into someone else's hands, it doesn't matter. As long as no one knows where it came from. Gang Ryong in the back suddenly exclaimed, whoa, this box is so magical. My hand fits exactly like this lock. He forced himself to use internal force to distort the box but asked to use the lock to open it. He looked at the old books next to him. Make a sound. In here are not jewels but some books. Is this the martial arts secret that the guests talked about this morning? Yerin didn't pay attention even though he sat there opening the book to read. She continued to go into the kitchen. I'm going to prepare the dishes. Gang Ryong didn't pay attention to her and just sat there intently reading a book. This is a martial arts secret practiced by two men and women together. People don't need elaborate costumes for this martial art. Yerin stayed in the kitchen for a while then spoke again. If you're done eating, bring the dishes over here. Gang Ryong didn't respond and still sat there intently studying martial arts. Yerin saw him. When there was no response, she stuck her head out and called out, Gang Ryong. Are you deaf? No matter how much she screamed, she didn't get a response from Gang Ryong. She had no choice but to come out of the kitchen. She slowly and quietly approached behind Gang Ryong to see what he was reading so intently. After seeing the content inside the book, she immediately angrily punched him in the head. Gang Ryong was also startled by her punch. His face turned red, sweat poured out like rain and asked, Yerin, what are you doing here? Yerin angrily turned around and left. What's with this face of yours? Close those books and follow me now, I never want to touch them. Gang Ryong wondered, this pile of books? What are you doing? Do you also want to learn martial arts? Yeren angrily shouted, monkey martial arts, that's Zonduk Bai, you idiot. Zonduk Bai are pictures with erotic content bound into volumes to guide bedroom affairs. For young couples, but mostly for young men to use as sex. Gang Ryong carried a pile of books and ran after Yeren asking, what is Zonduk Bai? Yeren in front was angry. I don't know, don't ask me, I don't want to explain to you. Gang Ryong still tried to ask, is it a knife technique? Why can't I see the knife? What's all in this? He quickly ran after Yeren and didn't pay attention, but dropped one book. The two of them quickly walked away, leaving the other book falling on the ground. After a moment, the owner immediately came out from inside the toilet. What are they doing here at this hour instead of in bed? Is there anything we need to do together after waking up? Sure, just leave them alone. What did you eat that made you so tired of being chased by Cao Cao? She had just turned around to return to her room when she noticed the book on the ground. She quickly turned around and picked up, what book is this? The two Gang Ryong went outside to the empty lot next to the pub. Then immediately used a fire to burn all those sex stories. Yeren sighed. This is really a shame. Gang Ryong wondered, what is that? Yeren explained, he was once hailed by the people as a fairy. But this was a small mistake that turned him into a vengeful ghost. And cannot escape. Gang Ryong became even more suspicious. Mistake. Yeren angrily shouted, of course this is a mistake, think about his reputation. It's obvious that he bought those sex stories, but he was stupid enough to not know what content they contained. That's why when he glanced at it and was in a hurry to hide it, he had a heart attack and sacrificed his life heroically. Gang Ryong sighed while stirring the fire. I doubt it. Books are used so much that each page becomes smooth and worn. Moreover, there are some dried yellow stains on it. Yeren was so angry that she trembled and shouted, stop. You say one more word and I'll make you. Oh my gosh, you guys are really the same person. You're all sick perverts, life and death are all the same, you all go die. The next morning, as usual as soon as it was morning, Ryong immediately went out to sweep the yard. While he was still yawning, the landlady immediately came out from inside. At this time she no longer had her old appearance but was replaced by the beautiful appearance of a young girl. Can your mouth open any wider? Gang Ryong looked at her innocently. Madam, no, I was wrong. What are you doing going to town so early in the morning? The owner was angry. Pay attention to the correct wording, because I have a feeling we're going to have some special experiences. That day. I say that because I picked up a book of prophecy. This is like the prophet's book. It shows me what will happen with me in the future. With very detailed drawings to illustrate. When Gang Ryong saw her laughing like crazy like that, he was stunned and didn't understand anything. Huh? What are you talking about? The landlady said harshly, talking to an idiot like you is a waste of saliva. Forget about focusing on sweeping the yard. Scene changed to another side. Here at this time, human bodies were piled up on the ground, blood splattered, extremely miserable. One person, with only one person. Red Wolf, a group of terrifying assassins in the whole world. Martial arts was destroyed by this man. He was So Jinhung, nicknamed the White-Faced Demon Sword. People gave him that nickname when he was less than 20 years old. Why did he do that? No one knows. Does he have some kind of grudge against the Red Wolf? Or simply a job assigned to him? Few people know what he did after that, or his whereabouts, although he still exists in this world. Then last year it happened. Daicheng's assassination happened. He was one of the 10 great masters of the martial arts world. With just a single slash to his vital point and he died. It was also said that he almost didn't realize he had been killed until he lost consciousness. And the entire martial arts world was shocked by this. He caused Daicheng's guardians to receive an even more miserable defeat. But he is truly an extraordinary master. Except for him, almost no one else can kill 10 great masters. With a single strike. The culprit was of course never found, and once again this barbaric murder was shrouded in mystery. As I said, this is just personal conjecture by my side. News of the death of one of the 10 great masters spread quickly because he was a prominent figure. But surely this was just one of the assassin's victims. This player. And the person responsible for this incident is none other than So Jinhung. No mistake, it was him. Everyone remained in position until he got close enough to attack. So Jinhung was leisurely walking through the forest when he suddenly stopped. He squinted his eyes and stood there observing for a moment, then raised the long sword in his hand. Immediately after that there were 2 sword energy slashes on the ground. The 2 assassins who were lying in ambush on the ground were immediately hacked to death and crawled up above So Jinhong's head. At the same time, countless leaves flew down. And immediately after that, there were countless leaves flying down from the tree trunk. Other assassins jumped down to surround him. Although the 2 accomplices on the ground were dead, the crowd was still not afraid. Each of them held their sword hilts tightly and stared at So Jinhong. So Jinhong stood there thoughtfully. A moment later, he raised his voice and asked, "Are you sure you're strong enough to fight me?" One of them replied, "Why not? We are the elite assassins of the Red Wolf Gang. While we were out on a mission, your son of a bitch came to attack our base. We've been following you every step of the way for the past 3 years, so we definitely can't be wrong." So Jinhung lowered his head and smirked. "Thank you for coming. Are you guys what's left of the Red Wolf Gang? My family's enemy is still alive and kicking. I'm also looking for you guys to settle accounts." Seeing that appearance of the young leader So Jinhung, he loudly reminded him, "Everyone be careful, that bastard is about to use sword energy. His sword technique is unpredictable." After discussing the strategy, the group rushed forward together. So Jinhung he pulled out his sword energy. No one saw how he pulled out his sword. I only saw a few assassins rush in and their bodies were immediately cut in half. And then the surrounding trees were also cut down. In front of the horrified eyes of the lead assassin, all of you, his disciples and the surrounding trees, were all cut down by So Jinhong's sword. His eyes were bloodshot, he couldn't believe it and exclaimed, "Impossible, how is this possible? Too fast and dangerous, cannot be seen with the naked eye." He then immediately collapsed to the ground and lost his life. After dealing with all of them, So Jinhung sighed. "I should have asked them to see if there was anyone else before killing them all." He then continued on his way again. A while later at an old house somewhere deep inside. In the forest. In the yard, there is an old man sitting here chopping firewood. The gate of the house was suddenly pushed open again. Outside was none other than So Jinhung. When the old man saw him, he immediately stood up and bowed, "I will go prepare a meal for you." So Jinhung did not respond but slowly walked past him into the house. He had just passed by. The old man immediately spoke up, "I smell the fishy smell of blood on you again." So Jinhung felt a bit uncomfortable. "When will you stop killing people?" So Jinhung replied, "Is that the only thing you say over and over again? Don't you get bored?" Old man. The old man continued, "Please stop this. This is not something that your parents want you to do. Please live a normal life, boss. That is the simplest but most practical way to reassure your parents. And while we're here, can you please not see them again? In the name of helping you take revenge, in reality they are gradually manipulating and taking advantage of you." So Jinhung continued, "Without them I would never have started this. And if anyone had said what you just said in front of me, their heads would have been rolling on the ground by now." The old man sighed, "Maybe it's the best thing for me. It was entirely this old man's fault that he became a murderous demon. Because I'm the one who raised you, not your parents. So if I die by your sword, at least I can have the sympathy of the old man and his wife at the Golden Stream." So Jinhung did not answer this question but continued inside the house. "What should we eat tonight?" The old man replied, "Fried pupae and grilled onions." So Jinhung angrily put it away. The old man sighed. "Okay, I will prepare your favorite grilled rabbit." Right now outside, a few other people appeared. "Oh, are you at home, little master?" The old man saw these people and had an unhappy look on his face. When they passed by him, he turned his head and sprayed a spit of saliva, clearly showing his hatred. One of them saw this and got angry at that rotten old man. Another person advised, "Okay, just leave him alone." The group then went into the house with So Jinhung to chat. A man in black took out a document and said, "We finally figured it out. The identity of the leader of the assassination of your parents." So Jinhung excitedly took the document and looked at it. Tyrant Jiang Chung. He is one of the leaders of the Red Wolf Gang. But now he has erased his past and assumed the role of a respected monk. With the name of Great Master Myeongjung, So Jinhong's eyes were filled with murderous intent and shouted, "Where is he? Where is this old bastard hiding?" Scene changed to another side. Jang Chung, who was sitting and chanting Buddha's name, was suddenly startled. He turned his head suspiciously and looked behind him. "Did someone call me?" The person calling him was Gang Ryong. He was standing outside the window carrying dumplings. Waved at him. "Yes, it's me, Master Abbot." Jang Chung laughed excitedly. "There you are. It seems like today is the last day of my diet." Gang Ryong also laughed loudly and replied, "This diet ended early, Master, ha ha." The next day, at a big tree under the mountain, many pilgrims passing by were sitting here resting. Some took out rice balls to eat. Others took out a few sips of tea. They were each doing their own thing. But suddenly they all stood up in surprise. They then all joined hands together to bow to the monk who had just come down from the mountain. After greeting, the monk also went under the tree to rest. This person was none other than Jang Chung. After the group finished resting, they quickly started to continue their journey. Jang Chung took out a bamboo tube and sat there drinking water to rest. At this moment, in the distance, Gang Ryong passed by on his way to deliver dumplings. He walked up to the monk and asked, "Old monk, what are you doing here?" The monk was startled and turned around to look. He laughed. "Oh, is that the shipper gang?" Gang Ryong nodded and smiled. "Hee hee, where are you going?" The monk replied, "Not going but returning from Bogawang Temple." Gang Ryong was startled. "Huh? What are you doing at Bogawang Temple? That place is a bit far from here." Not far away, So Jinhong was slowly walking towards, carrying his sword. The two of Gang Ryong were completely indifferent and remained under the tree talking and laughing loudly. After a while, Gang Ryong said to the monk, "Goodbye, I have to go now, Abbot." "Yeah, see you later." As soon as Gang Ryong turned around, So Jinhong also walked over. Not far away, there were two kids fighting over a water pipe. "You said you would return it after taking just one sip. Please let go quickly. No, I want to drink first." The woman walking next to them sighed helplessly. "You guys should give in to each other a little. Whoever drinks first won't get it." Gang Ryong saw this situation and couldn't help but sigh, "Oh my god." The two kids fought over each other and no one would give in. In the end, the water pipe burst and all the water inside poured out. So Jinhong also walked up to the monk and said, "Tyrant Jang Chung. I am So Jinhong, son of So Chungwon. Today I will act on behalf of heaven to punish you. Because of what you did in the past." Having finished speaking, without waiting for the monk to react, he immediately pulled out his sword. The monk didn't know if he didn't have time to react or if he didn't want to avoid it at all. He just sat there, letting the sword's blade fall. The opponent had already attacked in front of. And at this moment, a hand grabbed So Jinhong's shirt and pulled back his long sword. So there was no way to cut off the monk's head. The one who took action was none other than Gang Ryong. Seeing that this fat guy could keep up with his speed, So Jinhong was surprised. His eyes stared at him. Gang Ryong glanced at him and asked, "Are you an assassin?" So Jinhong's eyes wrinkled in extreme panic. "My hand fits exactly like this lock." He forced himself to use internal force to distort the box but asked to use the lock to open it. The two people's movements were extremely fast. It could be said that they were just happens in the blink of an eye. Because the water pipes of the other two boys fell out and before they could hit the ground, So Jinhong had already disappeared. He was startled and turned his head to glance back. Was there someone just now? Gang Ryong raised his head, looked up at the tree trunk. So Jinhong had now landed on a tree branch. The monk was still sitting there muttering, "I just saw something." So Jinhong landed on the tree trunk, no longer paying attention to the monk but staring at Gang Ryong. Gang Ryong also stared at him with a serious face. Facing his gaze, So Jinhong broke out in a cold sweat. He then took the initiative to disappear and left, not daring to continue assassinating the monk. The monk still sat there muttered, "So Chungwon? I feel like I've heard that name somewhere before." Gang Ryong sighed, "You almost turned to dust." The abbot looked at him in surprise. "Didn't you already leave?" Gang Ryong explained, "There was an assassin who was planning to kill you." "Who have you made enemies with?" The monk's face was filled with confusion. "Assassinate me? Why?" Gang Ryong breathed out helplessly. Are you kidding me? He raised his hand to take a look. A wound appeared on his palm with fresh blood flowing out. But anyway, you should still be careful. This assassin, he seems to be a master. The monk is still extremely calm. So I have helped someone get a job? I guess this old head of mine has no value. Okay, don't worry about me. You better go. Otherwise the bun will get cold by now. Gang Ryong picked up the water pipe from the old monk. Yes, you better pay attention to what I say. After the old monk finished speaking, he quickly ran away. The two kids in front were still arguing. The boy didn't argue and sat down on the ground crying. Give it back, quickly give it back to me. The woman helplessly advised, I told you that you should give in to each other. The older boy kept apologizing to me. While he was talking, at this moment there was a water pipe on his head. After Gang Ryong placed the water pipe on his head, he ran away at extremely fast speed. The boy took down the water pipe and laughed loudly. This water, it's the gods who gave it to us. Here's this for you. The old monk also stood up again. The way back is not far away. Above a canopy of trees there is someone hiding and observing everything. He failed. What? Why did he fail? Something surprised him and he suddenly lost his goal. What the hell? Couldn't he take care of the target in one gentle blow? We should quickly decide on the next step as soon as possible. We will follow the law, we will change locations and cut off all relations with him. Perhaps you plan to secretly launch the organization's ultimate weapon, with just a single positive vote? It was the organization's only survival option, now leaving a small crack unattended. And the whole castle could collapse. Losing to him would be humiliating, but the rules are the rules. Get ready, we'll proceed now. Scene changed to another side. After leaving the Gang Ryong and Gang Ryong's place, So Jinhung immediately sat in a place pondering. In his head the old man's voice continuously rang out, when will you stop killing? Please stop. Please live normally, young master. These sincere words of advice from him echoed in So Jinhong's head right now. Made him feel like a venomous snake roaring. He couldn't help but swing his sword and cut down the poisonous snake. Shut up, you bastard, your nagging words are slowing down my sword drawing speed. Because of his hesitation, old man. He then remembered the image of Gang Ryong holding his hand tightly. Are you hesitating? If an assassin hesitates, are you kidding? So Jinhung once again swung his sword and slashed the image of Gang Ryong. Shut up, you arrogant bastard. His face became more and more fierce to the extreme. Image of Gang Ryong's glare at him appeared in his mind again. Bastard, how dare you look at me with those eyes? I will definitely cut you into small pieces. If you're trying to protect Jang Chung, then you're probably in the same boat as him. After ending Jang Chung's life, I will hunt down and kill you. Scene changes to Gang Ryong. He was sleeping but suddenly woke up. What's wrong? Why do you feel like you're forgetting something very important? Thinking for a moment, he suddenly woke up. I forgot, I haven't had my late night snack yet, I'll almost starve to death. Scene changed to Jang Chung's temple. This place is also immersed in quiet darkness, a certain room is still lit. On the roof with a person standing there. The other person then disappears. Inside the room, the lights were still bright, shining on the Buddha statue. Jang Chung meditates below, constantly tapping his drum and reciting sutras. The door to the room quickly opened slowly, the person on the roof from before slowly entered. This person was none other than So Jinhung. Even though the door was pushed in, the old monk still sat calmly. Then knock and recite sutras.